Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
Navadav Healthy Ritual. 4 එකක් moisturizing milk, cornflour සහ coconut oil සමගින්.
On First at 9 tonight, this Sunday, the 6th of November, 2022. Aligning policy priorities. President directs implementation of a trade adjustment program for local industrialists to match competitiveness of international trade. No shortage. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation assures of sufficient fuel stocks within the country. More imports en route to Sri Lanka. The bunkering hub. The Sri Lanka arm of Indian Oil Company says big plans for development of 61 of the Trincomalee oil tanks together with the CPC.
In the first phase, we would carry out the development of 10 tanks.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Indivadi Amuwata. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening. We have a number of stories to report to you tonight as well. But first, the top stories. Sri Lanka will implement a trade adjustment program for domestic industries to match the competitiveness of international trade. During a meeting with the International Trade Negotiations Committee, President Ranil Wickremesinghe instructed officials on the alignment of policy priorities related to free trade negotiations and international trade. The President also emphasized on the need to gradually liberalize the services sector in order to attract foreign direct investment and to take steps to gain membership in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. President Ranil Wickremesinghe convened a meeting with the National Trade Negotiations Committee at the Presidential Secretariat on Friday. The main task of the National Trade Negotiation Committee is to revive negotiations of free trade agreements with strategic importance to India, China and Thailand markets where there is a large foreign direct investment and export potential. In a statement issued by the President's Media Division, it was highlighted that such FTAs will also help local industries affected by the economic crisis to obtain capital inputs, raw material and intermediate goods at a lower cost. During the meeting, President instructed the officers on free trade negotiations, the future outlook of international trade and on aligning policy priorities. The head of state added that government will implement a trade adjustment program to support local industries to adjust with competition in order to expand international trade. President Wickremesinghe also emphasized on the need to gradually liberalize the service sector in order to attract foreign direct investment into Sri Lanka and to take steps to gain membership in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. The President's Media Division said discussions also focused on access to regional and global supply chains, re-engagement with the global economy to enhance export and export-oriented foreign direct investment, which are key elements of the government's economic reform program to revitalize the domestic economy. 4 ministries have been gazetted under the purview of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. As per an extraordinary gazette issued yesterday, the President will be in charge of the Ministry of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies, Ministry of Technology, Ministry of Women, Child Affairs and Social Empowerment, as well as the Ministry of Investment Promotion. The Gazette notifies that the President issued the order after consultations with the Prime Minister as per provisions of 44 subsection 3 of the Constitution. Well, President Ranil Wickremesinghe landed in Egypt today with his delegation to address the United Nations Climate Change Conference. On the sidelines of COP27, President Wickremesinghe met with the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and apprised him of the government's plans on the national environmental policy.
The 27th edition of the conference, commonly referred to as COP27, commenced in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt today, and the summit's high-level segment for heads of state and government will be held tomorrow under the patronage of Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The United Nations Climate Change Conference is a platform where countries come together to take action towards achieving the world's collective climate goals as per the Paris Agreement and the Convention. While building on outcomes and momentum of COP26 in Glasgow, nations are expected to demonstrate at COP27 that they are in a new era of implementation by turning their commitments under the Paris Agreement into action. To address the summit, President Ranil Wickremesinghe and his delegation, including Minister of Environment Nasir Ahmed, President's International Affairs Director Dinuk Kolombage, Senior Advisor to President on Climate Change Ruwan Wijewardena, reached Cairo in Egypt today. Following his arrival, President Wickremesinghe met with Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres. During the meeting, the Sri Lankan President briefed the UN chief on the government's plans on the national environment policy.
Sri Lankan Navy intercepted 2 Indian trawlers with 15 fishermen poaching in Sri Lankan waters today. The interception was made during an operation mounted in the seas off the north of Talemana. The operation was conducted by the North Central Naval Command, having spotted a cluster of Indian poaching trawlers in Sri Lankan waters in the seas north of Talemana. The seas trawlers, together with the Indian fishermen, were brought to the Talemana area and were handed over to the fisheries officials of Mana for further investigations. On the 26th of October, 7 Indian fishermen along with a trawler were nabbed by Sri Lankan Navy while poaching in the island's waters off the Jaffna coast. Well, 10 people who fled Sri Lanka to India's Dhanushkodi in Tamil Nadu were detained by the marine police there. The police had reached Dhanushkodi, or rather, the Sri Lankans had reached Dhanushkodi at around 1 a.m. and on getting information about them, the Rameswaram Marine Police rescued the Sri Lankans and brought them to the Rameswaram Marine Police Station for investigations. After the investigation, they were handed over to a refugee camp. Since the 22nd of March this year, as many as 198 Sri Lankans have fled to Tamil Nadu in India as refugees via Dhanushkodi. Well, for the first time since July this year, Litro Gas Lanka Limited today raised prices of its LP gas cylinders. Accordingly, prices of its 2.3, 5 and 12.5 kilogram cylinders will increase by 15, 30 and 80 rupees respectively. According to Litro Chairman Mudita Piris, a price revision is also expected once again during the first week of December as per the newly adopted pricing formula by Litro Gas in accordance with the price fluctuations in the world market.
State supplier Litro Gas Lanka Limited increased the prices of its products with effect from today. Accordingly, the price of a 12.5 kilogram domestic cylinder was increased by 8 rupees, while the prices of 5 kilogram and 2.3 kilogram cylinders are increased by 30 rupees and 15 rupees respectively. According to Litro Chairman Mudita Piris, the new price of a 12.5 kilogram cylinder is 4,360 rupees. The revised prices of 5 kilogram and 2.3 kilogram cylinders are 1,750 rupees and 815 rupees respectively.
The pricing of a 12.5 kilogram, according to the pricing formula newly introduced, should be increased by 210 rupees. However, as Litro has been operating steadily, the company has decided to increase the price of a 12.5 kilogram cylinder only by 80 rupees. And also 5 kg cylinder by 30 rupees and 2.3 kg by 15 rupees.
Will there be shortages in Sri Lanka's fuel industry and products? Well, Manoj Gupta, LIOC's Managing Director, says big plans ahead to transform the Trincomalee oil tank farm. Details after this break.
Big 3.
අයිනෝ පුතා හැබැයියා ගෙදර නිදියන්නෙම අමූතු තැනක.
කාලගුණය කොහොමුණත් රයිනෝ නං වහලට සේෆ් තමයි මුළු ගෙදරම. Rhino Cement Roofing Sheets. Then you know Rhino. I know.
Well, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation assures that sufficient stocks of fuel are available in the country to last at least 15 days without creating an energy shortage in the country. CPC also said that imported fuel cargo are scheduled to reach the island in the next few days. CPC says that the lack of fuel at a certain filling station is due to incomplete orders.
Since the beginning of the month, several filling stations across the island have dried up due to the non-availability of fuel, leading to vehicles queuing up at other stations. When inquired from the state-run fuel supplier Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, they claim that such a situation has been caused due to the fuel station owners not completing their orders in anticipation of a downward adjustment of fuel prices. However, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara stated that there will be no price revision this week and urged filling station owners to complete orders without inconveniencing the public. Despite such instructions, notices displaying fuel unavailability were seen near filling stations during the day today. With such a situation creating fears among the public of a fuel shortage, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation gave assurances that there will be no shortage of fuel in the country. They said that sufficient fuel stocks for a period of 15 days are available, adding that imported fuel cargoes are also scheduled to reach the island in the next few days. Meanwhile, from tomorrow, three-wheelers in the Western Province will be entitled to a fuel quota of 10 litres. However, three-wheeler drivers will have to register their vehicles via the dedicated website launched by the Ministries of Transport and Energy, www.wptaxi.lk, to be eligible for the 10-litre fuel quota. According to the President's Media Division, the program will be initially implemented in the Western Province and will then be extended to other provinces in due time.
Managing Director of Lanka Indian Oil Company Manoj Gupta says the Trincomalee Petroleum Terminals Private Limited, the joint venture created between Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Sri Lankan arm of IOC, will develop the 61 tanks as part of Phase 1 of the project to transform Trincomalee into a bunkering hub. 10 of the 61 tanks will be developed first as part of the Trinco Tank Farm agreement entered into this year. Addressing the Colombo International Maritime Conference recently, Gupta said 3 out of them will be ready for bunkering during the next 9 to 10 months.
What we look forward to is the development of the Trincomalee tank farm. The board decided that the development of 61 tanks be carried out in 2 phases. In the first phase, we would carry out the development of 10 tanks and we would put 10 tanks into usage as earliest as possible. And subsequently, out of these 10 tanks, which should be ready closely by July, August coming year, we intend to put minimum of 3 tanks on bunkering. As far as the development plan is concerned, we are very much focused, we are very much optimistic. Coming 9 to 10 months, we should be in a position to actually have the UTF with 10 tanks into operation. And as far as the balance tanks are required, but then the board feels that that needs to be done in periodic basis, not that we straight away go in one shot of 51 tanks. There's a lot of land available. The feasibility also includes setting up, putting up installation of new tanks of 50,000 tons. There are multiple usages that are being contemplated that this UTF can be put to use of. Strategic reserve also happens to be one of the important part of it. Excessive land areas are available. We can be putting up a lube blending plant, we can be putting up petrochemical warehouses, renewable energy. A lot has been spoken about the upcoming fuels like green hydrogen, ammonia, bulk bitumen plant. There's a lot of potential for bitumen out in the country. We also have been importing it. One of the most significant uses of Trincomalee that we contemplate is once this storage facility is made available, these tanks can always be leased out to various suppliers across the world. Just like Singapore, we intend to genuinely make Trincomalee as the bunkering hub. So any number of these tanks can be used by the suppliers. They can take these tanks on lease from TPTL. We have already determined the storage charges and all. So all those equations, mathematics, everything is in place. Also, I mean, it can be used as a strategic reserve by Lanka IOC, by government of Sri Lanka, by CPC. We can be very much instrumental in exporting white oils, black oils, which we store into these tanks, which we otherwise procure when the pricing conditions are favorable. And we can always be exporting it to the nearby nations. Could be anywhere. Could be Myanmar, could be Maldives, could be the eastern coast of India. I mean, anywhere. I mean, there would be a lot of opportunity available for procurement at an economical price and supplying it, selling it at the price that we intend to command.
Well, that's all on tonight's AdaDerana English newscast. For the very latest, you can catch us on mobile and on our social media platforms. Do connect with us for the latest development in international as well as local news. Good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.